You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Yo, yo, yo. What is up, podcast people that listen to this stuff?
Why are you staring at me?
I don't know. You look like, I don't know. What's
That's
up, everyone?
creepy.
Paul Pasalakis, Brad Weisgerber, and Salvatore Kuzmano. We are Inside Real Estate. Stop looking at me with your
You're
face
looking
like
at me, emphasizing my name in a weird way.
He's
Yeah.
kind of got like a Seth from Ice Age look today.
Who does?
Oh, Jesus.
Who the hell's Seth?
Google it, man. It's so funny. Today we have a very special guest, and Mr. Matthew Stransky from Stransky and Company, and one of his cohorts, Mr. Ryan Knight with a K.
Night with a K. That's right. Appreciate
What's up,
that.
guys?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, really good.
So
Pleasure to
today
have us.
we're going to talk to these guys about their.
Fuck you.
Whoa! Oh, did you look it up?
Yeah.
Did you Googled it? So today I want to talk to you guys. Obviously, you guys are running a really good business within Keller Williams. I kind of want to talk to you about your model, how you got started, where you are today, and kind of where you see yourself going. I also want to kind of talk about what we see kind of going into the winter with the market. I think it's a little choppy right now. Why are you smiling at me like that? I don't understand what you're doing.
It's a great day to be alive. So.
Amen.
Salvatore, can
Amen.
you're next to him. Can you fix that?
No, come on.
All right.
Can't fix that.
All right. So, Matt, let's start with you, man. Let's just go right into it. Give me an idea. Like, I know that, so you and I kind of have a similar past. We were both at Quicken Loans,
Yep.
right? And it's always interesting to me when I see old mortgage guys from that era going into real estate. There's a few, and a lot of them are doing pretty well. So, walk me through, what happened in that period and how you ended up being in real estate.
Sure. Well, I went the corporate route
Yeah.
for a while, and that was a fucking disaster.
Okay.
I'm definitely an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
When I went over to Quicken, sharpened my skills, right? And I think that's what that company does for a lot of us.
Yeah.
You learn how to work hard. You're definitely not afraid of the phone. So did that for a while. After about a year of it, quite honestly, I just had enough experience at that point. I knew I could make more somewhere else. Went down to Arizona, started selling new construction in like the shit of the market. I showed up on day one all excited, and everyone's like, "You missed it, man. It's over."
What year was this? What year was this?
God, what was that? Like 08?
Oh, yeah, that was
Right in the shit of it.
Best time to be in real estate.
Now, transparently, right, Arizona was a lot better than Michigan. So I guess it was perspective, but rocked that out for a while, came back to Michigan to get married.
Congrats.
And yeah, thank you, man. 9 years now. And so when I came back, I was working for a staffing and recruiting firm. Quite honestly, it was the only job I ever had that I liked.
Okay.
And making a real long story short, I met the CEO. We did like a little training and stuff like that. I became kind of butt buddies with this guy. The whole time I'm calling my wife like, shit, I'm going to be vice president in like 3 weeks, man. Got back on Monday and was fired on Wednesday.
Wow.
Damn.
So
Why were you fired?
honestly, it's
What did you do?
Well, when I got called into the office, right?
Yeah.
My guy was lighting me up. My boss at that time saying I made everyone look stupid. We're both athletes, so he's like, "You're a fucking practice player," and I'm like,
Whoa.
I don't know what you're talking about. I got more recs.
Made
on
you look
the board."
stupid because you're with that CEO and kind of hanging out with him?
Yeah, and what it was a small company. I was the 25th person hired.
Yeah.
They were really building the process. And what the CEO did at that time, a guy named Bobby Herrera, he basically came to us in the summer, just about the time I was hired. And he said, all right, in December, we're going to fly you guys out to Seattle. We're going to test you on all these statistics. You're going to role play all this stuff. Well, the person I am, man, I'm either all in or all out.
Yeah,
So, man,
yeah.
I was studying, I was role playing, I was reading the books. Not just for that guy. I mean, just to
for
kind
your
of master
knowledge.
the
Yeah,
trade.
Yeah.
And I got in there in December and, talking about quick and right, all the role playing you do,
Yeah.
the hot seats.
Yeah.
These guys, my boss included, I mean, some of the worst shit I've ever seen.
Just bad skills.
Yeah, bad skills, no
Yeah.
questions, all information dump. We were a minority-owned firm. And that was kind of a lead-in a lot of times. But I think a good salesperson is going to save that for the end, right? They just led with it. this guy, and it was awesome. I loved him. I mean, he's MF and everyone in there. This is ridiculous. And then in that first day, me and him kind of connected. I think I'd kind of proven, who I was and
Your
what I
value.
could do.
Yeah.
I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. He was a boxer. So he had like all these connections. And like I said, I mean, I really did. I thought I was going to be vice president in no time. Moved back. Like I said, got canned. And then at that point, man, I'd been through some rough goes already, like corporately. Not a real good political guy. Still not.
Yeah, you didn't play the game well, right?
Yeah. And honestly, and, just being transparent, right? I'm like crying on the way home. I'm about to get engaged, all this types of shit. And I was like, you know what, man, fuck everybody. I'm like, I'm going to do things myself.
Yeah.
The way I got into real estate was my dad and my mom gave me a book in high school called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Long story short in that, I could have played baseball in college, decided not to. Never read a book. I was never a student or anything. My dad gave it to me. I read that book in like 2 days, which, was pretty...
That's a lot of reading.
Yeah.
It's like 20
especially
pages.
In high school or after you got kicked?
Yeah, just out of high school. So I was a freshman.
So this book created something and like had a seed in you, right?
So when I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, it was all about investing. It talked a lot about how school wasn't for everyone. And literally at that moment, I swear to God, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this come hell or high water.
I'm going at it.
Yeah. So fast forward, I jump into real estate. I worked at a smaller place right there in Royal Oak.
Okay.
My first year, I did like 52 leases and I sold 2 houses, and it was the best fucking time of my life.
Just so everybody knows, an agent that does a lease, there's not as much money in that.
I avoid them at all costs.
Yeah.
Now
That's a lot of work.
I grew and, was eligible for
Yeah.
that. But I did that. At that time, and again, this is 08, end of 08, so a lot of foreclosures, a lot of short sales. Through being a realtor, right, obviously you're exposed to a lot of opportunities. I found a couple of houses that were fit, bugged my mom and dad, we got to buy these, we got to renovate them. My dad and my brother are millwrights by trade.
Okay.
So super handy guys. My parents, and I come from pretty humble beginnings. Kind of took a leap of faith out, right? Bought a house on 4th Street right here in Royal Oak.
Which back then, by the way, so everyone knows, Royal Oak was just, it was good, but it's not where it is today. And Royal Oak, for national listeners, it's become a really hot market.
Very, very unique place to invest your money.
Yeah, especially back then.
Yeah, I should have bought every fucking house I
Yeah,
could have.
right.
But I got in. We started doing that house. I was a realtor, but like I said, I wasn't really generating a whole lot up to that point. Just hustling. And I was that idiot. Like I would change a couple paint colors on a wall and lay out 60 pictures. But what happened? It started to organically grow.
Yeah.
And people were reaching out to me. Hey man, can you help me do this? And hey man, you're a realtor. And being honest with you, then I started making some commission, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome.
You got something, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I can actually do this.
And what I really loved about it versus mortgages is, I wasn't necessarily selling something. I was truly service oriented, taking care of people.
Which is a difficult transition, actually, because for me, when I was at Quicken, and you guys know this, when I did leads, Brad, you knew this. Like, it's really about selling and hammering people and getting the commitment. Close hard. And then you get in a relationship based industry. I had to really how to be a human on some level.
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
I failed at that.
Well, I think that
Shut up.
that people, to your point, right? Like I saw my business really take off when I had the ability to actually help people.
Yeah.
Right, and not just give them like a mortgage or the lowest rate or whatever. When I was like, hey man, don't do that.
Right.
Take this money, put it there, do this. We're gonna do this.
Actually
with your
advising.
taxes, whatever.
Yeah.
Help someone get a mortgage and finance it in the best way possible for their life and manage their debt.
Exactly.
That's when people are like, this guy's a shit.
Yeah,
We gotta
you-
work
you-
with
now
him.
you're a pro.
It's crazy how that
Yeah.
works because it seems like such an easy thing, but it's not. But any sale is easier when you actually
Tell people what they need to know.
when you truly believe in what you're selling, right? Because it's more authentic and you really care about what you're doing. So
I
it
think
comes
the
through.
difficult thing about mortgages is just all the rules, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to figure out how to navigate those in your head, and it takes probably a lot longer for someone to really
I would not want to step back in your world.
Yeah, we're a little regulated right now.
It's a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Sure.
But I'm actually into regulation. I don't want it to get deregulated.
Yeah, I
think
can't
it'll
go
fuck us up.
backwards.
You don't have to fucking deal with it.
Yeah.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
but that was the transition, right? And I loved it. And then how I kind of started to grow the team, worked my ass off a few years, right, as a single agent, blessed, right? Things were kind of growing.
So when you say work your ass off, let's quantify that. What did you do? Like, because a lot of people are like get into the industry, and Ryan, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I thought he was gonna take a nap
I
over
didn't
there.
want to do it in the
Okay, good. So they get into the industry and they really don't know what to do. They get a
Sure.
book and a phone, and they're like, well,
Sure.
now what? So what did you do?
Yeah, great question. I ran from every fucking shiny object that real estate had.
Yeah.
I think, and again, this goes back to being fortunate enough to kind of be raised in Quicken. It's about contacts, right? It's about conversations. Early in the game, you have to talk to every human possible.
Correct.
That's what I did. Going back, like you guys were saying about the relationship, I was pretty fortunate. I had a good mentor at that time. And he said there's two ways in this business when you start. You can go fast and hard and burn everyone. And then eventually what happens is you burn out because you can't find enough people to fuck over.
And everyone
right?
hates you.
Terrible.
It's good.
The second, in the more sustainable, right, and the good human way is to treat people right, to create relationships. Like you guys are saying, I can't tell you how many times I tell people, no, you're not buying this house.
Yes. Which is the
And
right
then
thing. Yeah.
over time, it started to organically grow, right? Now, I got to the point where I couldn't service everyone at the level that they deserve. Like we were talking about the uniqueness of Royal Oak.
Yeah.
At that time, you had to get out and see a house within an hour.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't do it. So, I'm kind of scrambling around. I had a friend that was a little further ahead of me that started kind of building this team. At that time, I had already moved over to Remax. And I had a friend, my first hire, who's still with us now, Randy Hambright, shout out.
What up, Randy? I know
yeah.
Randy well.
And me and him were sitting around. He did insurance. And he's like, man, I hate this shit. And, it sucks. And I'm sitting there, kind of venting a little bit like, man, I haven't slept. I still have shit to do. I got EMDs in my trunk. I mean, it was a nightmare, right? And at that point, we kind of decided, all right, let's team up, man. So he stopped insurance. He joined me. Within about 15 minutes, I realized I'm fucked. I have no idea how to train this guy to do all these things, and that's actually what led me to Keller Williams. So, a good book, one that I always really hold true to still in flipping world is Flipped. And I knew who Gary Keller was. I had read all the books and stuff like that. And my friend had made the jump over there and started building what is now a pretty mega team.
Yeah.
And that was the conversation I had is, look, come here, plug in, get the systems, get the procedures.
The value is there for that.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So I made the jump there, went from a team of 3 in like a fucking closet to now, a team of 7 full agents, 1 girl on the back end, 2 part-time agents. So that's
awesome.
kind of the journey. It grew out of necessity, but it also grew out of challenge. Like I was kind of getting bored. I am in wrong or right. When I feel I've mastered something or, I feel good at it, I kind of want to go to the next thing. And that's what I saw. So now the challenge is to do it through other people, to build something not only for myself, but for other people. And, so far, so good.
That's awesome. So going to Ryan, how are you, Ryan? I know you haven't talked much yet.
No,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So Ryan, we knew Ryan before he was on your team.
Before he was an agent.
Yeah. Yeah. So
A friend of a friend, and
I've
it's fun watching him.
Yeah, I personally like watched Ryan kind of go through this like struggle, and he's really trying to find himself in the real estate game, and you personally seem like you're very happy and you're doing much better in this environment that you've created, which is really awesome. Yeah,
100%. So my journey was a little bit different, obviously, but no, I started out. I got out of the military, became a nurse, and I was a nurse for like 2 years. Loved it at first, but kind of the same thing. I found myself getting bored and wasn't challenged the same way. And, anytime you're not challenged sort of mentally, you sort of start to
check out.
You
check out for sure.
And so I knew I needed to do something else. Took a chance and got my real estate license, jumped right in, struggled
I watched
hard.
you struggle.
Oh man,
He'd come up to our
not
office.
what they show on TV.
He would like.
Well, dude, when you lose that first opportunity that you get, it's like, man, this is and you work so hard for it, right? You turned over so many rocks. You finally get one. You're at the plate, right? And they're like, we're going with Aunt Millie or the big guy in your office or whatever, you're like, fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I can
You
speak
know?
to that. He man, you had a first couple months that were tough, like
Yeah.
mentally. I mean, he was doing all the right things, but yeah, things were falling off. But he plowed through.
Yeah, it's funny though too. Like once you get a little bit of traction, kind of like you said, Sal, and then Brad as well. You can lose focus really quickly, especially being really new. You get busy.
You take your foot off the
yeah,
gas.
you lose focus and
really
lose
hard not
like
to do-
what
yeah.
you're the reason you're there.
Yeah.
So once if you maintain that focus, at least for me, is the purpose is to help these people through what's probably going to be the biggest financial transaction of their life, and just be there for them and show them it's not about the commission. It's kind of funny because they say that nursing is the most trusted profession in the world.
Sure.
Real estate agents is actually the least.
I'd say
So I went
mortgage
from that to
loan
that.
officers are ahead of you on that one, but yeah.
car salesman.
All
But
right,
what's
well,
shitty is millions of people pay 6% to sell their home annually, right? Maybe a million, I don't know. But that 6%, think of the varying experiences, right? Sometimes it is just the guy like, fuck you, pay me, right? And then other times it's, like you said, like maybe someone's first deal, they care so much about it. Maybe it's just a good human taking care of them. And it's funny because, while they're the least trusted and for good reason, right? You kind of understand that to a degree, but like they're still going to pay it,
Yeah.
right? So like why not like
Get
give
the
a
pri-
good
get the
experience
Right,
that
right.
well they'll
exactly.
say, hey, this guy took care of me. You can pay him 6% to sell your house too.
Right.
Well, that goes back to like what he said was you can either go hard and fast and screw over everyone and burn out, or you can do it the right way and build a sustainable
You know
business.
what? You know what's warped on that, and I honestly went through this about a year ago with a guy that was on our team. I was fortunate when I came out of college. I interned for a guy named Bob Bolin, a company called PreviewProperties.com in Brighton, and they were doing large land assemblage. It was a freaking nerd's dream. I had the highest respect for realtors. I was around the best of the best in the beginning. It wasn't until like literally 7 years later when this guy came on the team, he's like, everyone thinks we're pieces of shit. And I'm like,
Really? Like,
I never had that feeling.
Yeah.
I never had that, which was bizarre. Now, after working with enough of them, I'm like, okay, but weird.
Look. The
Took
reality,
some time for
unfortunately,
me
we're in a high margin field, it's so crowded with a lot of different people. The reality is, in my opinion, 80% of the people that do either mortgages, real estate, they kind of suck. They're either new, they don't totally understand, and even if you're new, it's fine if you're good, right? But a lot of these people, like they look at it as a transaction. They're looking at just grabbing as much cash as they can and moving on.
Yeah, I from an early age it was driven into my head. My dad would always say, "There's 3 types of whores:
Holy shit! Okay, buckle up, guys. Here
realtors,
we
lawyers, and politicians. They're all trying to fuck you." I'm like, okay, like that's literally what he told me, like when I was 10 years old, right? And like then I got into it. Oh,
yeah.
mortgages, huh? You get to work with a whole bunch of whores. Sounds fun. I'm like,
Yeah,
look,
right.
but then now it's like.
The good
Now my dad's like, hey, you know a realtor I could call?
yeah. The good part now though, where the market's headed, it's going to weed a lot of them out. It already has.
Absolutely. You have a
Well,
good point on
Good,
that.
the great purge.
Yeah, and I think that's to Paul's point about the regulation, right? Like deregulation allows a lot of people who are seedy and see an opportunity to potentially like
slime.
take advantage of people, right? Versus like, man, this shit's hard.
I think
It's
you
hard
guys
to do a mortgage.
I think you guys
right?
are going to get regulated pretty soon.
I'm sure.
I think
Oh, yeah.
regulations coming your way. I think next administration, if it isn't a Trump or whatever, when the next one that isn't a Trump administration, potentially, you guys will see some regulation because there's just too.
Well,
a
you
lot of
got
talk.
that lawsuit out there lingering, right?
Yeah,
with
it's still going on.
commissions and
Yeah.
whatever.
I
Throw
like
some new rules,
regulation,
we'll
though.
Yeah, I
play
mean,
the
I
game.
like it. I wanna-
embrace it though.
I-
If you know how to navigate the rules and
Yeah.
you do things the right way, that'll only.
To be candid, we wouldn't have to change much. you
Yeah,
know? I mean,
no,
we're-
because you're
It's a
high.
good sign.
As long as you do good work, you're fine. I mean, I always thought that, but I want the bar to be raised, the barrier
sure.
of entry to be higher to do this profession. Because I'd rather be one of the elite and looked at as respected, as opposed to just be watered down and competing
sure.
with just shit all the
What
time.
I think is funny, I wish I had both sides of the perspective like you do, right? Like I've never sold real estate, but like on our end, to a degree, I know it's hard, right? Like after doing this for some time, but I remember when I first started, I'm like, fuck those guys.
They have it
man.
made.
They got
Yeah.
a 4 or 5 page piece of paper, and then they
Yeah.
just hand it to us, and it's done. But you don't see the legwork that
Yeah.
goes in before the inspections or this or that, right?
Which
It's-
is also why a lot of consumers have a bad rap for realtors because they don't understand
Totally.
that high commission.
Well,
what did you do for me?
if
Right? They don't
if
get
they
it.
found the house on Zillow and show it
Right.
to their agent or something, they show
Yep.
and write the contract. I mean, I guess I get that part of it, but nonetheless, I mean,
The easiest part is showing houses. That I mean, and I can understand why the consumer sees, oh, they're turning doorknobs, you know. But no, it's
the negotiation. It's the contracts.
yeah, but
the
it's
nuances.
also the
well, do they feel
hopefully
like,
the experience.
yeah? Do they feel
and
like you're
the-
just turning a doorknob? If so,
Yeah.
you're probably not doing a good job.
exactly?
If you're like, listen, this house is sweet, but I saw one down the
Yeah.
street, like,
Or hey man,
Now
don't buy this. This is
Yeah.
jacked up.
Or hey man, let's get the pipe scoped because there's issues with that, and all of a sudden you find an issue and save them thousands of dollars.
Sure.
Now you built, not you didn't just want the sale, you made sure they had the right sale for them.
Exactly. But the back end is where there's so much work. After you negotiate the deal, that's tough, right? You got to come from a place of power, knowing what you're talking about,
Yeah.
to drive things down for the client. But it's the back end. I mean, there's so much shit going on. You guys know.
Title,
to close it,
appraisals,
yeah. So we're really problem solvers. I think, and I think as a team, we do our best to really show our clients the work we do. It's kind of the realtor's fault. The realtors are the ones that aren't explaining what they're doing. So I think that's why there's
point.
a big disconnect.
That's a really good point.
We're happy and we're proud of how hard we're working for our clients. So we are letting them know what
Yeah.
we're doing.
what I think really brings the whole thing full circle is when an agent has people they can trust and refer that client to, right? Mortgage, inspector,
Yep.
sewer guy, whatever, right? Title company, even, right? Like all that plays into a good experience for this client, right?
sure.
Because when you can communicate, it's like easy. Sometimes we work with a random agent. I'm like, bro, I need that fucking addendum. Like, it's been 2 weeks of me hounding you for this addendum. We won't close without it. And
by the way,
my bad.
No,
Right?
that's not even my
and
bad.
vice versa. I'm sure there's
I have-
LOs that like you guys
I
call
have
you
a
like, what's
$1
going on?
million deal going right now. It is insane how low level this agent is. And I always joke with the guys, it's kind of like high school, man. So you get into a group project, you got 7 people.
Right.
2 of them carry the weight.
Yeah.
The other 5 are jack-offs. Everyone gets an A.
Yeah.
And there it is. Well, this is no different, And I coach my team, and especially the back end girl. Don't complain. Just do the job. We're gonna carry
above
this
it.
low turd
Yeah.
right to the finish line. But it's because it's the best thing I can do for my client. I don't even get frustrated anymore. But what I do get is when I do run across a good agent, I appreciate him. And I'll tell you what, and this is where I think the agent matters is when we're negotiating and I get deals in and they're from a strong team or agent, that is something I'm communicating to my sellers or my buyers.
Yeah.
Because it's about getting it closed. Candidly, I mean, even on some of the own houses that I built and sold, I've taken less of an offer to work with someone I know that's going to get it done.
Right.
So there's a gap there.
We've got a
is
pretty
good.
good analogy, and it's getting on a plane, right? Mm-hmm. Hey man, we're flying to Alaska, right? You can get on this beautiful 747, all decked out, new, serviced. It'll get you there. Ticket costs more money, right? Or you want to get on this little biplane, right? And fucking John Denver. Like, what are the chances that this plane's going to land? And even when we're pre-approving someone, like, hey man, this has like a 80% chance of closing.
For sure.
There's some unknowns. Do you want to get on this plane?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
want to get on a plane that has an 80% chance of landing?
Yeah.
Those are bad odds.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Amen.
'cause if
1 out of 5 chance.
Because failure is so catastrophic in that scenario. I always say to my if you pre-approve someone, you better close that deal.
For sure.
Right? Because if that person thinks they're buying a house 2 weeks into the process or 3 weeks in, they got moving trucks in, their family's all set up. Oh yeah, I missed something. It's not closing. That is so. Like I always say, if that plane isn't going to land, you don't get on the plane.
For sure.
Right? So
Yeah.
there's
Run
just-
from the plane.
Yes, do not get on the plane. So Ryan, I mean, you do have an interesting perspective, obviously. So you struggled.
Right.
What was the difference when you came on the team that kind of you feel that kind of got you over that hump?
Yeah. Honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. So I was that agent that came in, got their license,
I
and
saw it.
thought it was
Yeah.
like, well,
I saw.
thought it was something other than what it actually
sure.
was. So for me, it was finding the right place and then finding a great mentor.
Yeah.
Matt's got a great thing going, and so does Keller Williams. So going through that education process, learning how to be a follower.
Yeah.
Because I'm naturally kind of that person that just wants to
Run out front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw the directions out. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But once I allowed myself to kind of sit there, become a follower, a learner, be patient, follow the system that he's kind of got set up. And once I did that, and again, had the focus of coming from a perspective of helping people as opposed to let me get my first deal.
Yeah. Changes
And
everything. Yeah.
it changes your perspective in a way that it just, opens the door. It's almost.
I will tell you something, man. It is because I'll be fully transparent. Ryan, I would see Ryan sometimes. He would come up to our office and he just looked fully defeated.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely fully defeated. But what I loved about it is
I don't see that anymore.
not only that is like a lot, that would have broke most people. They would have just walked away, dude.
For sure.
And he was like, there was some times where he thought about walking, but he was like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And it was a long road, and I'm really happy to see that you
Thanks,
are
man. I
actually.
appreciate it.
He's a great agent.
Yeah.
He's going to do great things. What is interesting for me on my perspective, seeing some people come and go, it's always in the beginning, man.
Yeah.
Because I think when you get that license, you think that license actually gives you six figures.
Right away.
That's just kind of what you think, you know.
That's just the acceptance letter to school.
And I think what
you know,
really,
I got the Bowflex in my garage.
Like one thing I hear that a lot of successful people say, like down the road, right? Like the Kobe's, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I became a student of the game.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't be too not humble, I guess, to say
Ego.
like I need to be a student of the game and learn it and understand it.
You
and
do have to
learn
be
from
humble.
others.
Being
right?
humble is important.
Yeah.
Well, and Ryan is literally the living example of it because we kept walking him through. He did. I mean, right out of the gate, I think he had a couple, ready to go that fell apart. He was on a roller coaster, But like what we try to stress to our guys, and I think I'm more transparent than most team leaders, is that look, man, you're building a business. Yeah, you came here. The opportunity is more flush than if you were by yourself, but you got to build a foundation,
Regardless, yeah.
And if you're And for anyone that's listening that's going to start to get into the business, if you're chasing your money your first year, it's very unlikely, one, you're going to hit it, and two, you're going to burn out. But if you really look at this long term, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road, it's actually a short amount of time to make a shitload of money. You're never going to make that in corporate, but you have to look at it. You are building a business. This analogy I always give these guys, we're a wrestling team. We have one logo, right? We fly under the Stransky Company flag, but we're individual owners. These guys have got to go out there and build their business. Yeah, I can flood them with leads. I can get them tools. I can get them this. It's on them. And what was really fun and cool about Ryan, we do a thing called the DISC. High D. I'm 99D. This guy's 99D. And candidly, I told him when we hired him, most people wouldn't hire a guy like him. And the reason for it is just like he was saying, he's a driver. He wants to kind of figure it out on his own. And what was fun for me, kind of helping him along is, I kind of observed that pretty quickly. So I'd give him some ideas. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And, he'd sometimes veer off the other way, and sometimes maybe he'd hit the head on the wall.
I thought I
he'd come back.
immediately knew how to do it better.
You had to get your hand burned. Like someone could tell you that stove is hot, but you're like,
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good. You put your hand on it,
But
right?
what was great about him, and it's what he said, and I think again why the sky really is the limit for him, is that he bought in. But as a leader, I had to kind of let him run out a little bit, get a little wet.
Yeah.
Come back and dry him off, but. He does all the right things, man.
A lot of people that come in this studio, a lot of people did have some success in their first year. That's great. But the reality is that first year, usually, I always tell people in sales, you got to give it a full year because that first year's survival,
For sure.
absolute survival, because you're trying to learn and implement, and it's very difficult to master your craft in like 6 months. It's just not going to happen, and you got to build a book. So if you're going to get into any industry where you have to build a business, no matter what business it is, you're not going to have a successful business within the first 6 months.
No.
It just doesn't happen.
Very, very rare. Very
Right.
rare.
So
What's odd too, like I don't know if this is just like some weird like universe shit, but like for me, like things really do come in waves.
Yes.
It's like the same fucking
It's
problem,
crazy.
random problems.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, I have like 4 deals across the state, not just like in one area, that all require flood insurance. It happened to me like in a week.
yeah,
I'm like, what the
yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
But I learned, right? I found a surveyor. She went out. She removed flood insurance on 3 or 4 of them. Blah blah blah. And with agents, sometimes like, dude, I had like 5 low appraisals this week.
Sure.
You know, or 5 bad inspections
just
or whatever.
happen,
It's
yeah.
like,
But at the same time,
we teach in you talked about Kobe. Like as a team, we are infatuated with the book Relentless.
okay,
In there, and real quick, Relentless was written by Tim Grover, who was the trainer to Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade. In there, I mean, if you're hungry and aggressive, read that book. But in there, I laugh, and it's what we try to preach: is you're not allowed to have emotions. If you're a businessman or woman, unemotional.
nobody gives a fuck about your emotions.
All you worry about is solutions and getting that client what they need. You're not allowed to feel, because those are kind of feel things. Oh, my appraisal came in low. Who gives a
Right.
fuck?
Nobody
Oh,
cares. Yeah.
the house inspection was. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think when those things come, if you approach it the other way of, okay, this is fucked up. How do I fix it for them? What is the right advice? Should we bail on the house? Should we go back? But you can't have emotions, man. Emotions make you weak.
So you can't. You just got to roll. I mean, if you spend time lamenting over it, just wasted time. So
It's not going to do anything.
no.
Still, problem's
Coming
still going to
from
be
the
there
ball, that's
I mean, it's
priceless.
the only person
I've
who
gotten
can,
way better.
The only
You
person who
have.
can really
You
have
have.
emotions is the client,
for sure.
Yeah.
right?
Rightfully so.
Everything else for us is like, I don't want to say it's a job, a career, whatever, right? But like, we have a job to do.
But I
right?
think, and that's actually a really good point too, because what I see right now, like going on with sellers, is there's so many weak agents that can't handle or manage their
emotions.
clients' emotions.
And their own.
And yeah, both. But I think a good consultant, a good realtor is going to help that person, that client who is emotional, get them to stable ground. The reason stable ground is so important is, man, there's a lot of money flying around. So we try to even help eliminate that motion for them. It's always going to be an emotional purchase or sell for sure. But I think, again, you got to help curtail that.
You can feed so much into one emotion for a client, whether it's good or bad or whatever, by the way you deliver news, the way you talk about things.
sure.
I had an appraisal come in low on someone's second deal around, right? It came in $5K low. Well, it appraised at the $5K higher before, which was the contract price.
Sure.
This fucking listing agent calls me yesterday and is just blowing me up. This is bullshit. But I'm like, get me comps.
Yep.
Get me this. Do this job. Send it to me, and I'll get it in.
Exactly.
And they'll look at it, right?
Yeah.
Or they won't. My buyer's like, I don't even give a shit. I'll pay the $5K over.
Sure.
Right? But I'm
Like,
like,
it's not a big deal.
yeah. It's just funny.
It's how you handle,
handle it,
Yeah.
yeah.
And if you come into a
Well
nervous
done.
situation, you're like, it's going to freak people out.
Yeah.
So that's super interesting. So you've had a long road. So where do you see the yourself going? I mean, obviously we're going into the winter. You're building a good team. Where do you want to be? Like, what's the future hold?
Sure. And talking long term, right?
Yeah.
Interesting question. So I have a little different perspective on the whole team concept. My goal, my mission is to run the leanest, most profitable team that's out there. Without naming names, you'd be surprised. Some of these mega teams and mega agents, a lot of them are negative at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. My goal, my dream is everyone on my team is at least 6 figures. That's including the girls on the back end and on the front end. I'm a Navy SEAL junkie. I love Jocko and all that shit.
Yeah.
And as I started building my team, it makes sense, right? Navy SEAL teams are usually 8 to 10, man platoons. And the reason for it is that for an effective leader, they can only really lead 8 to 10 people. And then I think in my eyes, right, I want to be kind of that specialized person, right?
Yeah.
Because what do you see in a lot of the big teams is there's 30, 40 agents. 10 of them are really carrying the weight.
Maybe
10
even
or
less, yeah.
10 of them are
probably less
probably
than
only
that.
people you really want to be working with.
Right.
So what I envision on our team is about 10 to 11 agents, but that are all studs.
Yeah.
And there's so much turnover on these teams. Sadly, and my coach Sherry always yells at me, we've never really had enough turnover. Sadly, we've carried some people that maybe we shouldn't have.
That happens.
But the thought is still the same. If we can get them in there, get the right people, produce some balance in the life, give them relief in the paperwork and stuff like that. I think the team will last a lot longer if everyone's happy, you know. So that's my goal. Where my and now I'm speaking selfishly, you know, where I'm looking forward to quote unquote receiving my payday is about 35 or 40 million. That's where I'll start kind of seeing the profits of, you know, what I've pushed out.
Yeah.
Once it goes past that, and what's cool, and Ryan's included, you know, we have a really strong team now, and there's a lot of leaders on there. You know, if these guys want to take it further, you know, than 40, 45 million, cool. You
That's
know, let's game ball or let's game plan. You know, I'll fund it. But that in my eyes, I want to be around 40 or 50 million, really lean, and everyone making money, not just some of us, all of us.
That's interesting because most people, they want that mega team. They want to have as many agents
let's
as
get
possible.
so much co-marketing. We got a $10,000 spend. We'll hire anyone. And
But
then
look,
it's-
I you know, small fish in a
Sometimes it
big
works.
pond, but I build houses, I invest, and you know, I can't make sense of that concept. I can't, and you know, to each their own. But I'm also not a very egotistical dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's in there. I suppress it, so to speak, but you know, I don't get a kick out of telling you guys I have 7 agents, and
Right,
you know,
right,
I mean,
yeah.
there's guys here that's all that matters. You know, they want to be on fucking chocolate bars and and billboards. You know, true story. So when I really started getting deep into this,
The Stransky Rocky Road.
well, I coach with a woman named Sherry Swift, who's awesome over at Swift Transitions. I've been there, gosh, maybe 5 years now. But I approached and came into this business as an investor. So when I see real estate, and I still see it this way, it's ones and zeros. When I got there and I started building my team, and I'm being honest, I realized how lame this shit is. You know, like these mailers and chocolate bars and billboards and all this stuff. And honestly, I went in there and one session I'm just bitching. I'm like, fuck this. This is not what I got into. And, you know, this is lame as hell. And then she just looked at me and she's like, well, you're either going to do it or you're not. And, you know, I was like, all right. So I'm right in the middle of it. But again, bringing it back, these mega teams, they're not all they're cracked up to be. You know, it's there's a lot of smoke and mirrors there, man.
Yeah, some work, and I think some just do it because it looks like the right thing to do, and they get into it and they don't know how to manage
And
it.
what they do, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? I mean, there's all different types of approaches. They use it as platforms. They become OPs. They own Keller Williams. They start title companies.
yeah.
So that side of it I see, but again, personally, from a business plan perspective, I don't want to have to grow a business that's negative to start another business that's hopefully going to be positive.
Right.
And leadership
that's a great way to put it, yeah.
leadership means a lot to me. I don't give a shit who you are. You can't be that effective across the board to 800 people.
What's
You can't.
beautiful too, right? Like it's your own company, your own platoon, whatever, right? Like you can do whatever you want because at the end of the year you're gonna get a 1099 or K1 or whatever, and that's that. And if they do their thing and they go negative, good, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
And
always
there's still
joke.
so much more business to go around too. It's crazy.
Well, and well said, because that was one thing that was very enlightening to me when I came to Keller. Again, I have some friends that are definitely mega agents, you know, bigger than us by probably 60, 70 million. And one day he said to me, he's like, how much market share do you think I have over here? And, you know, I was like, shit, you know, 85, 90. He's like 12%.
Yeah, which is a lot.
Yeah,
but
which is a lot,
that's actually
but
huge.
a ton left over.
Yeah,
for
nobody
tons.
owns 100% of any market.
Yeah,
and
no
if you
way.
ever do, then okay, fine. But if you're always growing your market
And
share,
if you do, you're the only one doing it, right?
Yeah.
So
Someone's on your heels. you know?
always, it's a race.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So we do this thing called 3 questions on every show. So they're all random that I make up in my head, and the first one's always the same. It's this will go for you too, Ryan. You can answer these. What scares you guys? What is the one thing that scares you the most?
Being average.
Okay, that's
Fucking
pretty good.
sucks.
Yeah.
Who wants to do that? I not to get all holy, but there's a I don't even know what it's in, but I think it's Matthew, a Bible verse, and making a really long story short, this guy owns a vineyard. He's about to leave, right? He gives 10,000 shekels to 3 different people.
Shekels.
And basically in this story, what happens, the first guy goes out and he buries it in the desert. Second guy goes out, only risks half. And then the last guy, he goes out and he risks everything. Guy comes back. you know, the one guy runs up to him, master, you know, I didn't lose any of your money. You know, I buried it in the ground. Oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. Nothing happened. He kind of looks at him, kind of shakes his head. Second guy, master, I risked half. I didn't want to lose the other half, but, you know, I only risked half. I made a little bit more. And then the other guy, man, I risked it all. You know, you left and I tripled this. And then what the master at that time said, he told the other two to give them all his shit. And I think the moral of that story is just that this life, it's a gift, man. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I think to not go after it and really try to reach your full capacity, not only in business and all things. What a shame, man.
It's a waste.
You know, I'm 39 now, and fuck, I feel the window closing, you know?
Yeah.
Like with jiu-jitsu, I've been doing it 10 years. I'm like, man, I only got like a few years left, you know? But I can honestly tell you, I think I poured in all I could. So to answer it, yeah, just to be average and, God, really not to hopefully harness what the good Lord's given me, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty sweet, man. That is wild. Okay, what about you, Ryan?
Paul just realized he's dying.
I know.
can't really top that at all.
I'm 39 too. I'm like windows closing, and I don't
you
do
just
jiu-jitsu.
tell him that response.
I don't do jiu-jitsu.
I'm dying too.
No, I was gonna say almost the exact same thing.
Of course
I
you
would
were.
say not be. Well, I mean, if I wasn't, I am now.
Yeah.
But no, I would say a little bit differently, but not reaching your full potential, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And I won't top that explanation. So I'll just
So yeah, I would just leave it at that. Yeah.
He, like I said, personality-wise, we're the same. So
Yeah.
it makes sense we have the same answer.
So next question would be, if you could get in the ring with anybody, who would it be and why? Because obviously you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait, what are the terms in the ring? Is it boxing? Is it wrestling? Is
No.
it
Yeah,
Yeah,
what-
sparring
mixed
or,
martial?
or
What
full-on
it doesn't matter.
championship
it
match.
does matter.
He's got to fight someone in a ring somehow.
I mean, look, man, this would be a short-lived fight. But if you're, I mean, man, I wouldn't mind fighting Khabib. I mean, being a
bro.
jiu-jitsu guy, I mean,
He
the
just
pounding.
is relentless.
Oh, yeah.
I
man.
wouldn't
your
want
ass
that.
kicked.
So, well, and that's it. I mean, I guess in reality, I should probably be saying someone I just know I'd stroke.
Yeah, but
But no, I you know.
to feel what that's like. I mean, he just humps you for like 5 rounds.
That's it, man.
I
Yeah,
mean,
he's
it's wild.
I'd enjoy it. I enjoy the aspect.
He's a crazy fighter.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. What about you, man?
Oh man.
Because I know you do a little training.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anybody? Conor McGregor. Why
There
not?
you go.
Why not? He's a striker. I know a little bit of jiu-jitsu. He's probably way better than me anyway. But
he'd spin
at
your
least I
head
could
like a
say.
top.
At least I could say.
He'd pepper you with that left hand.
At least I can say I got murdered by an all-time fighter.
that left hook would just
He's gonna make
knock your
big
head
money.
out.
He brings in the money.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that one fight. No.
Yeah, I'll get just pounded and
Yeah.
paralyzed
Yeah.
for
You'll-
100 million.
you'll
I'll
Fine.
tell you what, a couple mil, I could take a hell of an ass beating.
I'll do quite a bit for a couple million.
Yeah,
There's not much I won't do.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to pay me for anything. So next question would be, if you could live anywhere other than Michigan, where would it be and why?
Wow. So I lived in Arizona. I would honestly tell you Michigan, man. And I know
Yeah.
it sounds pretty fucked up. One, I hate traveling. Hate it.
Yeah.
You know, my wife's well-traveled, dude. You got to pull teeth to get me to Florida kind of thing.
Yeah.
When I lived in Arizona, it actually made me really appreciate the Midwest.
Yeah.
No knock on Arizona. It was amazing, but, you know, very transient. I don't know. I like the core values here. I like the seasons.
The winter could be a little.
The only other thing I could maybe say, and I've never been there, but Colorado seems kind of my speed.
It's
you know,
awesome.
Denver.
It's pretty badass.
Well, and I
Denver's
love how
awesome.
sunny it is. Like, I can do the winter here. I just don't like the gray. Me and my wife are crunchy, outdoorsy kind of thing.
Oh, you'd love
So,
Denver, dude.
Yeah,
You would
so
love it.
so
You
there.
got
But I
Boulder.
like where I'm at.
Seasons, snow, summer,
It's a pretty
lakes,
sweet place. It's blowing up
mountains.
right now, too.
Sure.
Absolutely
and
blowing up.
not really any bugs. You know, I mean, there are bugs, but it's like dry.
Well, the mountains are so
Yeah.
cool. This is really
Yeah.
lame. But when I lived in Arizona, and this actually when I started like in mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu and stuff, I used to jam Born in the USA. And I used to come out, I trained at Awatuki. And like the mountains there, I felt so fucking cool.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
but there
awesome.
is. They're
In where?
in Arizona.
Arizona,
I
okay.
lived all
Sounded like
over, but
Japan
I
or
was in
something.
Maricopa. No,
Okay,
no,
Maricopa.
I'm never getting on a plane to go there. And
To where?
I digress, but why don't they improve
Awatsuki,
traveling?
I thought it was like Japan.
Oh, no.
Improved traveling?
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Rocket ships, and it takes me 7 hours, 12
Yeah.
hours. No way I'm signing up for that, man.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
yeah. It's good.
sorry,
Yeah.
but
It's a
to
good
answer
point.
it, I love
Yeah.
where I'm at, Michigan. If I had to pick somewhere else, I'd say Colorado.
Got
There's
it.
some pretty badass flights that you could take over to China and Japan where
Chinese air. Yeah, the airlines out there.
See,
Yeah.
the beds and stuff.
You get like a suite, like you could take a shower
What
on
was
the
that
plane.
plane where like
Oh,
the
dude,
front of
there's
the
some
plane
badass
dipped
ones.
down? It was like a
The Concorde.
yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty wild. Ryan.
I'd say Costa Rica. Costa Rica. There's beaches, surfing. There's the jungle.
Wild town.
Have you ever
man.
been to Costa
I
Rica?
haven't. No, it's
Oh, you
pretty
don't?
wild.
You've never been.
I've never been.
You'll change your mind quickly when you
Sal went.
It was pretty intense.
It's an
That's all I'll
intense.
say.
It's
But
yeah.
it's,
Intense in which way?
lots.
We'll talk to you after the show. Yeah, we can't.
I mean,
that's-
it's
I've
Latin
been to
America.
I've been to the Philippines.
Latin
so
America,
I'm not sure
dude.
it could be any crazier. than that.
I'm really hoping Sal gets married so he can do his bachelor party.
No,
there.
man, no. I'm probably not going back. It was cool though. However, listen, like, so we started in the beach, Chaco Beach, wild town, and that's all I say about that.
Sure.
It's wild down there. But we rented this little Suzuki, right? And give you a fucking Tom or whatever they call them, and drive like 6 hours to a volcano, dude. And like you're going through these like towns where like you really do like get some perspective of like, holy shit,
We live
you
a
know,
pretty
like,
good life.
we
Yeah.
think, you know, people talk shit about Detroit, and you're like, no, man.
First
like
world problems.
people are literally
Yeah.
like sleeping on like mats and shit,
right.
Yeah.
And you go through and dude, it was crazy.
So
you know, we ended in this volcano and this like
wild, unsafe sort of feeling, or
kind of, man. I mean, you're sitting there and you watch Narcos like 2 weeks before you went, and you're like, you think like you're gonna get stopped at this like checkpoint, and they're just gonna like light you up, you know.
My,
But
my
You watched-
brother went. through
everyone was
that.
really nice.
You
know?
watch
Costa
Narcos
Rica.
before you go, and you still bring your Rolex with you.
I did not.
No,
but
he did not. That was a whole different. That
Oh,
was
that
a
was a
different trip.
different
this was years
Oh,
ago.
That
but
was
it,
New
wa-
Orleans.
It was honestly, it was a fun experience. It was cool.
Yeah, my brother went there, and my brother's well traveled, but I love him if he's listening, but he's an idiot traveler. And him and his girl rented a car.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about Costa Rica, but yeah, they were on the beach and went to the other side or something. They
Yeah.
drove through the jungle.
Yeah.
He was telling me stories, checkpoints, and
Oh, shit.
getting in there and seeing fucking luggage being pulled out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what'd you do? He's like, as soon as I got there, I drove through. I'm like, well, how would have that worked? I mean, machine guns and all that stuff. So,
Dude, it's
yeah. I'm good, man. I
I
like
can't
my
speak.
regimen.
No one could speak Spanish either.
Okay.
That's like another fucked up part. We're like 3 crash test dummies driving around in a Suzuki. Like,
hey,
where's McDonald's?
Right.
Could you imagine if you broke down? You'd be like, what would you do?
We did break down.
You did?
Yeah, the battery died. We left the dome light on. And what? We took his jumper cables and accidentally crossed them.
Oh, my God.
They lit on fire.
sounds like a start of a
Alright.
movie.
She's like, man, and we found his place later and gave him a case of beer. It was
there you go. Cerveza.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen, guys, really appreciate you having me on. What?
Yeah.
Was that 3?
Yep.
That was
Yeah.
good.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Do you have an extra one you want to?
No, I just thought there was
Fire.
another one coming.
Running out of time. So, thanks.
My bad.
That's why I'm on the show.
I was enthralled in the questions. I forgot how many there were.
Yeah.
There you go.
So thank you for being on the show. Obviously,
Yeah,
I mean, you
pleasure,
guys were awesome. Can you tell the audience how they can get a hold of you if they need to reach out?
Sure. Anything you need, obviously real estate oriented, buy, sell, invest, even rent. You can reach us at 248-563-9449. Again, 248-563-9449. We're all over social media. You can just look us up on Facebook as well as Instagram. And then our website. It's under construction now, but should be done in a few months, stranskyandcompany.com.
Perfect.
And if you need a stellar agent, I call Ryan at
734-926-6097.
Do you have an email address?
It's changing.
It's called Growth, baby.
Yeah.
Just call or text them. Say your number over time then.
734-926-6097.
All right, guys. I wish you all the best. We'll have you on again. God bless. We'll see you guys soon.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks,
guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been